It's not often that Ryan Phillippe opens up about his past with Reese Witherspoon, but when he does, it gets people talking. For years, their marriage and eventual split were the stuff of Hollywood headlines. But this time, Ryan isn't making news for drama. Instead, he's praising his son Deacon. And in doing so, he gave the world a rare glimpse into how much of Reese is still present in their family story. But beneath those sweet words lies a much bigger conversation about Hollywood families, nepotism, and the very real struggles of balancing fame with parenting. In a new interview with People, Ryan Phillippe surprised fans with how candid he was about his 21-year-old son. According to Ryan, Deacon didn't just inherit his parents' looks. He inherited Reese's relentless drive. He said he's got his mama's work ethic. He absolutely does. That's not just a casual compliment. Coming from a father who's seen his ex-wife juggle massive Hollywood projects, win Oscars, and still somehow raise 3 kids, it speaks volumes. And it's the kind of remark that makes people stop and wonder, how much of Reese's energy, determination, and resilience has shaped her kids behind the scenes? But Ryan didn't stop there. He also defended his children's decision to follow their parents into entertainment, and that's where things get complicated. Hollywood has been buzzing about nepo babies for years now. Kids of famous actors launching music careers, starring in movies, or showing up on magazine covers often get accused of having things handed to them, but Ryan wasn't having any of it. So many people end up doing what their parents do to some degree or another, he explained. I always get offended for the children of actors and entertainers when people bring that up. And he has a point. Think about it. No one bats an eye when a doctor's child goes to medical school, or when a family of athletes produces the next star quarterback. In every other profession, carrying on the family tradition is admired. But in Hollywood, it's suddenly suspicious. The second a famous actor's kid books a role, the internet explodes with accusations of favoritism. For Ryan, the criticism feels unfair because his kids have grown up in the industry, not outside of it. They weren't strangers who stumbled into opportunities. They've been immersed in that world since birth. Deacon and Ava spent their childhood watching their mom on set, hanging around film crews, and learning what it actually takes to succeed in front of the camera. That kind of exposure isn't privilege in the way people assume, it's experience. But public opinion isn't so easy to shift. Social media has made nepo baby almost a permanent label, and once that sticks, it's hard to shake off. Ava gets constant attention for looking like her mom, and Deacon's every project is scrutinized through the lens of his last name. No matter how hard they work, there will always be a chorus of voices asking if their success was earned or inherited. And that's the real tension here. Ryan sees his kid's ambition as natural, even admirable, but the rest of the world sees an unfair advantage. It's a debate that isn't going away anytime soon. And for families like the Witherspoon Phillippes, it's a shadow that follows every step their kids take. While Ryan defended his kids in the press, Reese had already revealed her side of the story in an emotional Instagram post. She didn't sugarcoat the truth about raising kids while living the Hollywood life. She wrote about days that started in a trailer, late nights on set, and early mornings with carpool runs that left her deliriously tired. She admitted to crying through 14 to 17-hour workdays and still forcing herself to show up as a mom. For fans, it was a reminder that even the most glamorous celebrities are dealing with struggles that sound painfully familiar. Exhaustion, guilt, and the constant feeling that you're never doing enough. But what struck people most was how she framed it. Reese made a conscious decision to keep the narrative around work positive, even when she was breaking down inside. She said that when she came home at night, no matter how drained she was, she would tell her kids something uplifting about her job. Not because every day was great, but because she wanted them to believe that work had value, that it was meaningful, and that chasing passion mattered. That choice didn't just protect her kids from seeing the hard edges of her career. It set an example. They didn't just see their mom collapse on the couch after filming for 17 hours. They saw her stand up again the next day, put on a smile, and head back out. And maybe that's where Deacon's work ethic really comes from. Not just watching his mom win awards or walk red carpets, but watching her cry, keep going, and somehow still make it worth it. For many parents reading her words, it struck a chord. Reese wasn't just talking about acting. She was talking about the universal balancing act of trying to succeed in a career without losing yourself as a parent. Publicly, Reese has always had the image of America's sweetheart, bubbly, polished, seemingly perfect. From her early days in Legally Blonde to her more recent role as a powerhouse producer behind shows like Big Little Lies and The Morning Show, she's cultivated a brand of determination wrapped in charm. She's the actress who can win an Oscar, run a production company, and still appear approachable, relatable, and down-to-earth. To fans, she looks like someone who has it all figured out. But her Instagram post peeled back the curtain, revealing a much messier reality. Behind the glossy magazine covers and red carpet photos, Reese was crying in trailers, skipping sleep, and wondering if she was failing as a mother. It's a side of her that people rarely get to see. Not the superstar, but the mom who's just trying to make it through another day without collapsing. That raw honesty made fans love her even more, because it showed that even someone with her level of success is not immune to self-doubt and exhaustion. And then there's Ryan, who represents the opposite end of the spectrum. Where Reese is open and vulnerable with her audience, Ryan has chosen privacy. He doesn't flood his social media with family photos or emotional confessions. Instead, he speaks rarely, and when he does, it's with a measured pride that feels understated. His interview praising Deacon was a rare moment, and maybe that's why it carried so much weight. People aren't used to hearing Ryan speak about his ex-wife or his kids, so when he finally does, it resonates. That balance, one parent being public, the other staying guarded, is part of what makes their story fascinating. Together, they created a family that the public idolizes, whether through Reese's carefully crafted openness or Ryan's quiet dignity. Yet behind closed doors, they were never the perfect family people assumed. They were exhausted parents navigating divorce, blending households, and dealing with the same everyday frustrations as anyone else. And now, with their kids stepping into adulthood, the spotlight has shifted once again. Ava and Deacon are no longer just the adorable children photographed at airports or premieres. They're carving identities of their own, and in doing so, they're forcing the world to rethink the perfect family narrative. The truth is more complicated, more human, and far more interesting than the polished image ever suggested. Deacon has been slowly carving out his own path, a mix of acting and music. He's already released tracks that showcase his ability to blend modern pop with a more soulful vibe, and fans say he's got the kind of charisma that can't be faked. What's refreshing about him, though, is that humility seems to ground it all. He doesn't present himself as a kid who expects the world to hand him a career. He comes across as someone who's genuinely trying to earn it. But being the son of Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Phillippe means that no matter how hard he works, the comparisons are inevitable. Every move is measured against his parents' legacies, and every achievement gets tagged with the phrase, "for a nepo baby." It's a shadow that can feel impossible to escape. Still, insiders say Deacon is determined to let the music and acting speak for itself, building something authentic rather than leaning on his last name. Meanwhile, Ava has been the subject of endless fascination simply because of her face. Every time she steps out in public, headlines erupt about her uncanny resemblance to Reese. She's been called her mother's clone, mini-me, and twin so many times that her own identity sometimes gets lost in the chatter. Imagine walking into a room and being recognized not for who you are, but for being a near-carbon copy of your mom, one of the most famous women in Hollywood. At the same time, Ava has begun stepping into her own spotlight, dabbling in modeling and fashion collaborations. She carries herself with the same polished grace as Reese, but those who know her say she's more low-key, less interested in being the center of attention. Yet, because she looks so much like her mom, the spotlight follows her whether she asks for it or not. It's both a blessing and a curse. The comparisons are flattering, but they also raise impossible expectations. Ava isn't just Ava, she's Reese 2.0. And Deacon isn't just a young artist, he's Ryan and Reese's son. Together, they're finding their way, but they're also carrying the weight of being children of Hollywood's golden couple. And that's something no amount of privilege can really prepare you for. The world doesn't see them as individuals just yet. But if their determination and quiet resilience are any indication, that's about to change. It's easy to forget that Ryan and Reese have been divorced since 2008. That's nearly 2 decades of co-parenting, blended families, and major life changes. Reese remarried talent agent Jim Toth in 2011, and together they welcomed her youngest son, Tennessee. For a time, it seemed like Reese had found her second chance at stability. She was balancing blockbuster films, producing Emmy-winning shows, and maintaining what looked like a happy blended family. But then, in 2023, Reese shocked fans when she and Jim announced their divorce. After more than a decade together, they were going their separate ways, just days before their 12th wedding anniversary. The timing stunned people. Reese had often spoken about Jim being her rock, the man who wasn't in the spotlight, who helped her raise 3 children in a way that felt grounded. Suddenly, that image cracked. Through it all, Ryan remained a steady presence, even if he wasn't always in the tabloids. Unlike Reese, he never remarried. Some fans speculate that his choice to stay single for so long may have made the co-parenting dynamic simpler, avoiding the complications of new partners or shifting households. Others suggest that Ryan's quieter approach provided a sense of consistency for Ava and Deacon. Especially while Reese's personal life went through transitions, fans often wonder how much those shifts, new step-parents, public divorces, and constant headlines shaped Ava and Deacon's perspective on relationships. Growing up is hard enough. Growing up while the world watches every Instagram post and every red carpet photo, that's another level. And it might explain why both kids, while comfortable in front of a camera, still guard pieces of themselves from the public eye. So what does all of this mean now? Ryan's rare comments remind the public that beneath the gossip and the Hollywood gloss, this is still just a family, a divorced couple who managed to raise 2 kids who respect hard work, who are trying to build careers of their own, and who still carry the legacy of both parents. And maybe that's the biggest story here. Reese and Ryan may no longer share a marriage, but they do share a mission. To prove that their kids aren't just Nepo babies, but artists who watched, learned, and inherited not just talent, but grit. Because grit is the one thing that can't be faked in Hollywood. It's what separates the stars who last from the ones who fade as quickly as they arrive. The question now is whether Ava and Deacon can step out of their parents' shadows and truly make names for themselves. As much as Ryan praises his son, and as much as Reese shares her truth, Hollywood can be brutal. And the kids of stars either rise or get crushed under the very weight of their last name. What makes Ava and Deacon's journey even more compelling is the fact that they're not just any Hollywood offspring. They're the children of 2 actors who went through one of the most public divorces of their time, who navigated custody headlines, and who still managed to present a united front. That's a rare feat in itself. The resilience they saw in their parents, Reese powering through endless work hours, Ryan choosing to stay private and steady, may be the very thing that prepares them for what's ahead. But there's another layer here. Hollywood loves a legacy story. From the Barrymores to the Coppolas, the Fonda family to the Smiths, this town has always been fascinated with dynasties. The Witherspoon Phillippe kids are part of that tradition now, whether they want it or not. And every step they take, the world will ask, are they carrying on the family flame, or are they trying to light one of their own? The truth is, no one knows yet. Maybe Ava will break away from the comparisons and reinvent herself completely. Maybe Deacon will prove that he's not just dabbling in music or acting, but building something lasting. Or maybe the weight of expectation will push them in directions no one can predict. What's clear is that their story is only just beginning. And if Ryan and Reese's history has taught us anything, it's that their family doesn't shy away from challenges. They survive them. They reshape them. And they turn them into stories the whole world can't stop watching. And that's where things get really interesting. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that Hollywood's most famous families rarely stay quiet for long. And the next chapter for Reese, Ryan, Ava, and Deacon, it might be the most fascinating one yet.